When it comes to your home, we all know about street appeal. It can make a big difference to how you feel about the place and how much your house is worth. And at the moment, this 1980s primary school fence is letting this beautiful old gem of a house down. So, out with the old and daggy and in with the new and shiny. And it's not just the fence we're talking about. This garden, I mean, this space needs a lift as well. Pebbles, great if you're trying to create that dry riverbed look or a long driveway, but to the front of house is an absolute no-no. So I'm going to clear all this out and put in a garden as well. Should I check for mail? So we're putting a picket fence in. There's 2 panels, 4 panels, 6 panels with the neighbour. And materials are about $50 a linear metre. Now, if you think that's a lot of money, compare it to brickwork. If you tried to do a fence like some of the other ones in the street, it would cost about $1,000 a linear metre. So this picket fence is going to look as good, but it's a 20th of the price. Now, the easiest way to set up the fence is have a top and a bottom string line. And you can set your height right. It means you can go along, do all the posts, and you only have to check them to be level this way rather than checking them all this way. The next thing to do is set your posts. Now, I normally allow for a bag of quick-set concrete at each post, and there's about a dozen here, so that's 240 kilos of concrete I've got to carry in the back of the ute, or for the average homeowner, in the back of their car. And that's not nice. Or, ta-da, a brand new product. Now, this is from Seeker. It's like expanding foam, but it can go into the ground, perfect for fence posts, letterbox, clotheslines, things like that. All you got to do is you've got to roll this up, you break the seam through the middle, and then you've got 20 seconds where you rub it over your legs to mix it all through. You ready?
Yep.
Let's go. Oh, I can feel it expanding now. What did I do with the scissors? I gotta say, you've got to see this to believe it. Within 3 minutes, it'll fill the hole, and within 2 hours, you can work with it. Now, this really is the easiest picket fence to put up because the posts and the rails are just screwed together. There's no mortising or checking out with a chisel. It just sits in front of it. But with that, you end up with this ugly joint down the side. If I put on the first picket, from the side where all the gates are, you can see in here. So what I'm going to do is put one on the side. Now I'm using a pretty contemporary picket. It's 42mm by 19. It'll give us a new modern look. And when I bang the first 2 on like that, I've completely hidden that little cheat that I did. Now, as far as the space goes between your pickets, it's up to you. What I like to do, put a picket on its edge, pick up the next one, and I can guarantee that all my joints are 19mm. It's really important that you get your picket close to the string line, but don't touch it. If you have a look at the next door neighbour's fence, the pickets have got an arch in it because as they've been putting them up, they've probably just touched that string ever so slightly. And as they get to the centre of the fence, it's a lot higher than either end of it. Posts are H4, so they're not primed, but they are treated to go in the ground. The rails and the pickets, well, they're covered in pink paint, which means they're primed, ready to go for a final coat. For speed, I bang on about 3 or 4 up top before I pick up the level and then space out the rest. I'm putting a letterbox in here, so this picket here is the last one that fits up butt to it. And here, if I kept going with my same spacer, I'd end up with 2 that were touching each other, even overlapping. So to eliminate that and not do a ton of maths, you stop about 8 pickets from the end. That's a good amount where you can blend in the gap. If you're driving past or walking past, you'd never notice it. The only person that really would, the person that puts it up. And you, now that I've told you. Looks great, looks finished, but it's a lot easier to paint the picket by spraying it, and that means taking this out to do it. Okay, she's looking good. A coat of paint will finish the job off, and spraying is a lot faster and easier. And of course, every fence deserves a gate. Dan, yeah. You're welcome. Even though this is a short path to the front door, it will be the main traffic area. So don't skimp on the road base because you don't want your pavers to move in the future. Then lay 30 mils of washed river sand and remember, do it right, do it once. If you've ever seen kids learn how to 10-pin bowl, they fill the gutters in with bumper rails. And these guys here are pretty much the same thing. They're called screed rails, and what you do is you just screed over the top of them, and it means you can't dig into the sand and make mistakes. The pavers are 400 by 400, and this contemporary grey called Zurich will definitely give a stylish entrance to the house. And of course, you've got to haunch in. If you don't, you might as well just throw the pavers down because they're going to move on you anyway. This locks it in, gets it nice and straight, keeps it nice and straight, and you can hide that side with turf and this side with a pebble or some mulch. Now, I'm keeping the garden design pretty simple. I'm going to have a garden bed behind the fence and one in front of the brickwork, lawn in the middle. But I've come up with an executive decision. This little grevillea, it's seen better days, and I'm going to take it out. But check with your council first before taking out any tree at your place. Now, I don't take trees out lightly, but it's coming to the end of its life. They usually only live about 20, 25 years in damp clay soil. So I promise you by the time we finish the garden, you won't even miss it. And the reason why I cut those branches up nice and high wasn't because I was too lazy to go down here. It was so I could have a bit of leverage. Cheers, mate. Now, traditionally, I'd have a little hedge behind this picket fence, but because I've got the water there, this tree and the gas over there, I can't evenly space out the plants. I've got these viburnum tinus. Now, compared to odotisserum, they've got a smaller leaf, but more flowers, so they're a bit more showy. And then on the ground here is a pitostrum hole-in-ones. They'll get big enough to hide the water meter, but they'll stay short enough that they won't block the letterbox. And some lamandra lime tufts, which will need no maintenance at all. So it's an informal garden, but that's okay, because you see it when you're coming out of the house. When you're going into the house is quite formal. You're gonna have a hedge gardenias and a little diamond frost euphorbia across the front. And in here, a bit of Surwater buffalo, because it's gonna handle the shade of all these trees. And it's a good idea to plant before you turf. It's kind of like you can clean up and sweep all the dirt underneath the new carpet. Now, I like to lay a roll of turf all the way around the outside first for a couple of reasons. It means you're not over here with a shovel trying to cut the grass and chipping your pavers, but it also means if you end up with little bits, they're 500 million from the edges, and these spots here, hard up against hard surfaces, are going to dry out quicker. The little bits in here, you're going to be protected. One of the advantages of working in a small little front yard like this is the economy of scale. Keeping things small means that it costs you less and it's quicker to go up. A 900mm picket fence is cheaper than a 1200mm picket fence. And an 800mm path, which looks fine in such a small space, is obviously cheaper than a wider one. 20 metres of turf, not hundreds, a few plants, and this front yard is now the prettiest garden in the street. It's gone from the worst to the best in just one day. And at the same time, improve the street appeal and instantly increase the value of the property. But better still, it's given this classic house the garden it deserves.